It's Wednesday, January 11, 2012. I am Brian Tong.
And I am Molly Wood. Welcome to Buzz Out Loud, CNET's podcast of indeterminate length, live from CES. We are on day two officially.
Day 2. I thought it was day 3 last night.
It's
Someone
like day
reminded
4
me it was
for
day
us,
2.
I think.
The week continues to get harder, but still just as fun. Still a lot of great stuff that we can see on the show floor and everything.
Yeah, yesterday was the first official day of the show. The first day the show floor was open to attendees. And so everybody started to get a look. All the duct tape came off. The vacuuming got finished. Everybody got a look at what's actually on the floor. And then, of course, a little bit more news that we'll talk about. Yeah. And we had our awesome CNET party last night, so...
We're still recovering from that.
We're still recovering from that. We had a fun time. The parties have started. The gadgets are coming out. The TVs are bigger. And actually, our colleagues at News.com Jennifer Gavin at News.com did a pretty awesome roundup. What mattered on day 1 at CES?
And we've seen, we maybe not have expected to be this larger trend, but it's even becoming bigger the way that from kind of what I've seen and feel. Ultrabooks. Ultrabooks have been huge. We've already seen companies enter into the Ultrabook market, but specifically here at CES, we've seen a ton of entries. Dell with their XPS 13. We've seen a HP with their Spectre, which was like a Corning Gorilla Glass covered laptop on 3 sides.
Yeah.
But the definition of an Ultrabook has also kind of changed here at CES, because what we used to think of as, let's say, MacBook Air type clones, we're now starting to see companies call Ultrabooks 14-inch laptops, 15-inch laptops. So, it's a laptop, but they're kind of changing the definition here at CES of what an Ultrabook used to be. Yeah,
in fact, I had a conversation yesterday. In fact, if you're here live after this, we're going to have a laptop discussion with our laptop editors on this stage, me and Dan Ackerman. And I had a conversation with Scott Stein yesterday. He was saying he's kind of getting skeptical of the Ultrabook thing because there's already mission creep. 2 things. First, there's already mission creep. Samsung is calling the new Series 9, which is a 15-inch laptop, an Ultrabook. I mean, it weighs 3.5 pounds, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it feels like a brick compared to something like this 11-inch MacBook or something that you started to expect out of that Ultrabook Word. So they're definitely having that mission creep problem. And then on top of that, Intel gave a press conference on day 1 that essentially said, don't buy anything that's announced here at the show, because all the good stuff in Ultrabooks is going to happen toward the end of the year. They said that's when you're going to get voice recognition and Windows 8 and Ivy Bridge. Everybody's being all sneaky about whether their prototypes are even running the Ivy Bridge architecture. I feel like the Ultrabook thing is much more up in the air than I thought it would be, considering how many are littered throughout the floor.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the big themes that we've definitely seen at the show, but like you said, it's another way and see, kind of like how mobile phones have taken off, where they're going to be released throughout the year rapidly and constantly. We're probably going to see the similar trend with Ultrabooks follow that lead. So
yeah, definitely. So don't be in a rush to buy a new Ultrabook, because clearly they're just going to get better with time.
Yeah.
We got a first look yesterday at, every year there's like a promising concept that comes out. This one is the Project Fiona tablet, an actual full-fledged gaming tablet. They hope, and they showed it running some pretty impressive first-person shooter stuff.
Yeah, this is from the company Razer, who does a lot of great gaming stuff, and they're implementing pretty much controllers on the side of a tablet. So everyone's complaining that you can't really do any hardcore gaming on a tablet, where Razer's trying to say, like, no, you actually can, and we're going to give you the tools to do that.
Right.
So it'll be interesting to see how people hear, and how, it's one of our nominees.
It's one of our nominees, and actually Razer, that same company, got the People's Voice Award last year for the Switchblade, which was the mobile PC gaming concept.
Laptop, yeah.
The gaming laptop.
With all the hot buttons.
I don't think that ever came out. I'm just going to put that out there. I don't remember if it did or not. I'm going to Google this while we discuss it. But it does. It looks like another kind of potential. Oh yeah, it did. It happened. It exists. It's amazing how something like that will get so much press at CES, and then it comes out 8 months later, and we're like, who?
Well, we've talked about it a lot
happened?
just here at CES, where a lot of things do get lost in the shuffle once the year actually goes by.
Yeah.
But all eyes are on everything here. Another thing that
it still does seem to be. Anyway.
Okay, it's up in the
air.
I think it came out, but they weren't able to manufacture enough units, and it's been like a lukewarm reception.
But yet again, a cool concept from them.
Yeah. Also, some of the things that we've seen here at CES with Intel finally showcasing their first mobile phone. This is from Lenovo. This is the K800. This will be the first mobile phone that comes to market. It'll only come out to China. They have not said if they'll bring it to the U.S. yet, but it'll come with their Medfield processor. The K800 will have a 4.5-inch screen. It runs Gingerbread, but this is one of the announcements where Intel really trying to step up their game in the mobile platform where they've really fallen behind with ARM chips and processors, Qualcomm with their Snapdragon. They've been behind the race as everything has transitioned to mobile. They're really trying to make the argument that we can produce chips that are just as efficient, if not more efficient, than what's out there, and you'll have to wait and see what we come out with later in 2012.
And I was happy to see Paul Otellini focus so much on that during their keynote yesterday, because that is, they gave that big press conference and talked all about Ultrabooks, and people were saying, look, it feels like the real thing that Intel needs to be talking about is this war with ARM. Why aren't they mobile? Why have they not done a better job? So they kind of, Paul Otellini started their keynote by sort of saying, oh no, we've been in the game the whole time, we're doing a great job, we're fine, we're good. But we are super going to focus on this year. Like, we're all over this year. Not that we haven't been before, but this year we are all about it. So you got your hands on that phone last night, right?
Yeah, I mean, the phone, it's a little blocky, right? I'm still not a fan of the like 4.5, 5-inch form factor yet.
Right.
I still have. It's not because I have tiny hands.
You don't want a baby tablet?
No, I don't want. I don't want a baby tablet in my pocket. I mean, I think the 4-incher is 4.5 and 5 kind of gets a little uncomfortable to hold for my hands. But the phone itself, it was sleek. I didn't really feel like there were any advantages of its speed and snappiness compared to what we've seen on the market right now.
Right.
Even the operating system, although it was a little different, it wasn't anything that everyone's going to flock to an Intel processor. But what Intel's challenge here is getting their processor, getting their platform with vendors everywhere. Like, if this is really the only phone, it's going to take some time before we see their processors across the board by other manufacturers. Yep. Other manufacturers already have these relationships with other processors, like we talked about, ARM processors, Snapdragon, Hummingbird from Samsung.
Yeah.
So how much entry in the market will they really get? Is Dell going to be their buddy in this venture? Who else can they really get on board to push their mobile platform forward?
I know. Well, they did have Motorola joined Lenovo, but announced that they would do Intel-powered Motorola devices later this year. So you're exactly right. There may be a little traction. They may have been able to trot out one partner, but the fact is, a lot of these manufacturers, especially if they have long lead times for these phones, some of this stuff is already sewn up. Yeah. There's no question that despite what they say, they're really late to this game. And actually watching how this evolves over the year, I think is going to be one of the more interesting sort of company, like industry stories that we get to follow. Lenovo, like we said, unveiled their first smartphone also. And we have a cool poll, because I have to say, looking around the show floor, I actually did think there would be a lot more smartphone announcements by now. I mean, there have been some, but it didn't feel like the flood from last year, the Droid Bionic and the Atrix 4G. It was like, it just felt like phones were coming out of the sky. There have been a few phone announcements here, but not so many. So we put up a poll at news.com asking our readers what's grabbed their attention so far at CES.
Yeah, so we have an audience here. Really quickly, if someone could shout out what is really grabbed. We're gonna just read down the five options that we had, and we'll have you guys raise your hand. Yep. From what you've read and seen, what has grabbed your attention so far here at CES? First of all, bigger, thinner, smarter, fancier TVs than ever. Has that been the number one thing that's caught your attention?
Raise your hand if yes. No hands.
Ultrabooks, kind of the new mobile laptops, super slim.
You guys are still sleeping. You're just not even playing. I can tell.
I think they're waiting to
Raise your damn hands, people.
Uniquely designed gear like laptops that turn into tablets. Has that been tickling your fancy?
No. Nobody's having the yoga.
Panoramic video on smartphones. Do you guys, okay.
We got a little bit.
3D printers.
All
right. We got two guys in the back.
I'm with you on that one. I voted for that.
According to our survey right now, we're close around it. It just came out this morning, around 1,000 votes. The number one thing that is grabbing people's attention this year right now,
at least at home,
38% responded with the bigger, thinner, and fancier TVs.
It's working.
Now with that list, after you heard that entire list, maybe some people are all, actually, it is the bigger, fancier TV. We talked about how it's going to be, really, they're pushing this as the center of the ecosystem. But have you seen the OLED displays?
Yeah, I thought I really, truly thought that I was over being wowed by TVs at CES. I thought, okay, give me a break. I've seen the TV the size of like a house wall and the this and the that. And then I stood in front of the OLED TV and I was flabbergasted. It is beautiful. It is actually that much of an increase in quality. Am I going to drop $8,000 on it anytime in the year or two? Probably not, right? But it was enough of an increase that it was really... It is standing out, and I think people are actually seeing the value proposition, even if they're not necessarily ready to buy. It shows that TVs have that lasting sort of sex factor, and that the focus on 3D hasn't diminished people's interest in just having TVs with a better picture.
Yeah, so
which to me is a great lesson, right? Stick with the better picture thing.
Yeah. So you guys can, if you have a chance to check it out, you can go over to LG's booth and Samsung. They're both displaying their OLEDs, and some of these TVs are literally 4 millimeters thin.
They're ridiculous, yeah.
Thinner than some of the phones that you guys have in your pockets.
Sharp, I think, is showing off an 8K TV, which I am dying to get my eyeballs on. I heard it. I mean, it sounds like comical
ridiculous
at this point.
Right.
But I encourage you to go look at that, and the LG, the 84-inch 3D 4K monster TV. Really great TVs on the floor right now. All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll recap some of the cool things that we got to do yesterday. Namely, Brian Tong, who did a duet with LL Cool J. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Buzz Out Loud live at CES. We have a studio audience today. We're very excited to see you guys.
Everybody.
Thanks for coming out. There's going to be a lot more amazing programming on our stage, so you probably just want to sit right here. We're going to have an epic look at laptops in a minute or two. 50 Cent will be on our stage at 2 p.m. talking to Brian Tong, so we're pretty excited about that. This is the place to be. We got the comfy seats. Feel free to come on in, sit down. There's room. All right, so yesterday we had CNET's this is like our premier panel event, the Next Big Thing Super Session, where we talk about what we think is going to be the next big thing, the next big tech trend for 2012. This year we focused on the ecosystem, which I felt good about because the word ecosystem was bandied around roughly 9 million times on press day and beyond. It's this, this idea of all of your devices working together in concert, either from one manufacturer or all powered by something like Android. So I sat down with, we had a great panel actually. I sat down with Eric Schmidt from Google for 20 minutes. We talked to Tim Baxter, who's the president of Samsung America's consumer and enterprise divisions. And then we talked to a great VC guy and an entrepreneur who sits on the Amazon board, and we really just got an overview of the whole thing. But we're only going to talk about Eric Schmidt right now.
Yeah, I was going to say that was kind of where all the news bits and tidbits came from. You had a chance you were the one interviewing him.
It's true.
He seemed to be a little dodgy with some of your questions and not answer them directly. Is that an accurate statement?
Well, that's just what he does. Mark my words, he will go into politics. He is so good. But no, the whole panel is available online, or the whole session. But the main thing that I took away from it, and the thing that I really wanted to try to get a question on, was whether they feel that Android is too fragmented. Because I feel that way, and when I asked my Google Plus followers and my Twitter followers what they wanted to hear, what their number one question was, it was some version of when will the fragmentation end? Will you offer a stock vanilla? One of the most clever suggestions actually was, could Google start offering a stock vanilla Android installation, like a secondary ROM or something, so that you could just install stock vanilla Android if you had the know-how and you felt like it on any phone?
That would be nice.
I know. I was like, I should totally do that. He was not having it. In fact, he said he doesn't think that Android's fragmented. He thinks it's differentiation between devices that continues to offer greater freedom. So
differentiation for better or for worse.
For better or for worse, yeah. And that they feel, but our panelists really, especially Blake Gurley, who's a venture capitalist, and Blake Kerkorian, who founded Sling and is on the Amazon board, they both seem to feel that Android at this point is pretty much unstoppable in terms of that platform that is going to drive multiple devices. In fact, we've seen now two, I think, one from Lenovo in China and one from a TV manufacturer that I'm not familiar with, 2 Android-powered televisions. Yeah. And Eric Schmidt told me that Android is even operating in at least one refrigerator that he knows of. So
and that was one of their goals about a year ago when they announced that kind of initiative to push Android into other platforms, right? Like they wanted it home appliances, and we're starting to see that creep out there. So because of its flexibility, at least to be able to do what these manufacturers want to do with it, it is going to live a lot longer life just beyond the mobile devices that we're seeing. So
yeah, and it seems like if anybody's in a position, Samsung has a great vision of the ecosystem, but it involves all Samsung devices. Android has a vision of an ecosystem that is their platform powering anything. It was a very interesting conversation, I thought, although I would say that dodgy is the word. Actually, at the end, I asked him one question, and it was my last question. He goes, I'm not going to answer that question. I'm going to answer a different question. It's this. And it was like,
how did the crowd respond to that?
We all cracked up.
It was when you asked him what was more important to the ecosystem,
it was
hardware or software and services.
Exactly. I said, what does he think? And he goes, I'm not going to answer that. I'm going to tell you what most surprised me in 2011.
Yeah. It
was like he said, instead I'm going to tell you where baby giraffes come from. It was adorable. Anyway, He said it eventually did answer the question, but I'll tell you, politics for that guy.
But another thing that you guys can look forward to is
Very
our Women in
smart.
Tech panel, right? Our Women in Tech panel.
Yes.
That'll be happening, is that today?
That is
Tomorrow?
today
Yes.
at 5 o'clock back at this stage. A Women in Tech panel. We'll be talking with Men Are Welcome, obviously. It's a
There's a lot of guys
conversation
here.
about the industry, and I hope you guys will all join us. It's going to be fascinating. We have Marissa Meyer from Google, Padma Warrior, the CTO of Cisco, and Katarina Fake, who co-founded Flickr and founded Hunch, which eBay just bought for $80 million. So it's going to be a fascinating collection of women, I think, just talking about why there's never any line in the girls' room here at CES.
Now, also CES, you guys know there's a lot of celebrities that come out here to partner with companies to promote new products, but we had a really awesome opportunity. LL Cool J came to our stage yesterday, but he wasn't here to pimp a product he knew nothing about. He came to showcase his product. It's called Boom Dizzle, and it really is a game changer for audio music production, where you can real-time create music with someone in a completely different location. Let's say someone on the East Coast, someone on the West Coast, someone in a completely another country, and be able to make music. And we got to test it out. We got to play with it.
Okay.
Have a little
Brian
fun
is
with
being
LL.
so modest right now because he and LL Cool J are soulmates. They had the most fun time up here. Can we play a
man.
little bit of when Brian Tong sings
I
this
don't know.
song?
Did they
It was
even have
beautiful.
it queued? I don't
Come
know.
on.
Oh no, that's embarrassing.
Anyway, it's actually fascinating software. I love that. I
Yeah.
mean, watching that video, the idea of collaborative music making, very cool.
One thing about LL too, he's a really smart guy, but when we walked on the show floor, a lot of times, sometimes when we do these tours, people just want to walk through them. They don't really care about that technology. I would ask him, do you want to stop here? He's like, yeah, let's go check out. And he would soak in, some of the new demos that Sony had with their, crystal LED technology. He would walk up to the LG wall, and we were just standing there for 5 minutes, and he was just like, this is crazy, and he was just loving every moment of it. So him and his buddies, they were just like freaking out when they saw the OLED TVs. And so
tech is
he
life
loves
now,
he loves his tech, and he's all about it. So
yep, I think
it was good to
everybody
see.
really is. All right, back to CES news real quick, and then we'll wrap up with a little bit of non-CES news. A kind of a cool story. We all know that Microsoft is pulling out of CES. What you may not have read, or I hope you did read on news.com, is that Microsoft's CES floor space, they have that huge corner there in the central hall. That's
Right
what
over
they
near
have
Intel.
dominated all this time. That space sold in 45 minutes. 45 minutes.
Obviously, it was scooped up pretty quickly. Dish and Chinese electronics maker Hisense, they pretty much are splitting that space for the same price that Microsoft would have paid.
Yeah.
It wasn't like
we
it was
don't
sold
know,
at a
by the way,
premium.
what that price was.
Yeah, they won't
What do
tell
you
us.
guess? $500,000?
I don't
$1 million?
know.
What do you guys think? Does
How
anybody
much-
have any sense of how much that booth space
Anyone
might cost?
here in booth organization?
Any insiders? No.
I guess we could ask our marketing people.
I'm sure it's a lot. It is extremely prime real estate, and it's going to be really interesting next year to walk into the Central Hall, which for years has been Intel, Microsoft, and see it be all different. Anyway, I love that it was just like, in
Done.
case you were worrying that people weren't as interested in having big flashy booth space on the CES show floor, apparently they are.
Yeah.
Apparently that's still working for them.
All right, so we have this little gadget. Have you had a chance to play with this little thing?
No, but I want to.
I don't know if it's still in our back in our CBS area, but there's always kind of like fun, silly little toys that are playable here at CES. How about an inflatable cube, an inflatable bouncy cube for the
your
iPad?
iPad.
Just
There it is.
Not for you, maybe for your kids, or maybe for you.
It's adorable, but so you can sort of embed your iPad in what is basically a giant bouncy beach ball thingy,
It's a
and
bounce
then
house.
toss it all around. It's like a bouncy house for iPad.
Okay, that's
iPad's
cool.
gonna have a lot of fun, but I know you guys are like, no.
Now, anyone buying that for the kids?
No.
Anyone
I know
sold on that?
the toy stuff. I saw one hand go up back there. That's right.
You know what? When
I know exactly. My 5-year-old's gonna see this and be like, that's on my list.
Random tangent, how we talk about CS catering to the kids. Oh man, I can't remember the company off the top of my head. I should, but at Digital Experience, they're showing off literally a DVR for children. So you put it in between your cable box and their TV. It's this handheld device, and it allows you to record scheduled programs, and then your child can disconnect it and take it with them wherever they want to go and watch TV shows that have been recorded like a DVR. It's one of those durable, Fisher-Price looking type toys. Little screen, but I mean, it's scary because we see how advanced kids are getting with all this technology, the touch technology. It employs a touch screen, but this is a DVR for your kids. And when I saw it, I'm like, my nieces would totally use that. Not that I'm going to buy it for them because that's danger.
He's going
and
to.
I want to be I don't want my my sister to say you're a bad uncle, but kids and the stuff that CES comes out for them, you sometimes see some of those crazy things, but it's there.
I like to see the toys that come out. I am also skeptical about the beach ball thing, but that kind of stuff I think is very cool.
The kid DVR, leapfrog looking thing.
All right, so real quickly, not at CES, an interesting update on SOPA, which we have not forgotten, the Stop Online Piracy Act, which everybody on the internet wants to go away. I had an interesting conversation actually with a guy from CEA yesterday about this, and he said, Congress people are reporting that they're getting hundreds, even thousands of phone calls about SOPA, anti-SOPA calls, because partly it's such an easy sell, right? Everyone's really mad at Congress. Everybody loves the internet and they want to protect it. And nobody wants to hear about people with a lot of money getting benefits, right? So you come along and you say like, hey, these people with a lot of money who exert undue influence on Congress want Congress to break the internet. And the crowd goes wild. So opposition continues to grow to SOPA. Reddit, which is a pretty geeky online forum, is actually, they're going way farther than changing the avatar picture. They have announced an entire blackout day. On January 18th, the entire site will go dark for 12 hours to protest SOPA.
So this is if you're not familiar with them, this is a news aggregator
I know,
site.
right?
Yeah, this is great. This is a news aggregator site, and their message is, look, if you let SOPA pass through, stories or sites like us could be completely removed from the internet, from existence, without any due process.
Right.
They would have no control over their site going away. So they're putting a big message that says stop SOPA. And you know what? It's some people say, oh, they might be trying to drive attention, but really for those of us that love and care about the internet and use it every day, everyone in this room, it's an important message to send across.
Because any website that allows commenting, that is a forum that has sort of discussion going on, is at risk for having someone accidentally or on purpose post a site to infringing content. Under this law, the domain could be blocked. The domain could be removed, and you'd never be able to get to Reddit because someone posted a site to what was said by someone else, by a private party, to be infringing content.
But for those of you, and for those of you that are here,
it's a very extreme law.
It's far-reaching. It could take down sites literally, like break Google searches, eBay transactions. They could say, look, there's illegal content on eBay. We want you to take that down. Not take down the auction, take down the site.
Yeah.
I mean, it's that far-reaching.
It's really bad. We have all written a lot about it, so if you don't know what we're talking about, come and ask us later or read up on it, because it's terrible. We're not going to mince any words on that. And then speaking of Google searches, Twitter and Google in a big, huge fight right now. Google this week rolled out some personalized search results where they are changing their algorithm. Instead of just simply giving you the sort of most relevant results, when you're signed in, you'll get results that are a little more personalized to you. And as Twitter puts it, a little more heavy on the Google Plus. And so Twitter fired back. They very clearly said, we're concerned that as a result of Google's changes, people will not find Twitter results. They'll find Google Plus results instead, Google's changes, and that Google is breaking the way that search works. So this is probably going to be one to follow. It's heating up pretty fast.
Yeah.
I don't know if it'll find Twitter information harder to find, but it does feel a little bit like Google prioritizing some of their own results.
Which we've seen
in the past. That's the thing that makes everybody nervous about Google.
The big machine.
Yeah.
So.
All right, we're getting to this thing. So we got to go because we have more stuff coming up on the stage. That is our Buzz Out Loud show for today. We will be back on Friday. There's no show tomorrow because the Best of CES Awards presentation is happening right here at the stage.
Yeah, you guys can't miss that. This is the
11
winners of the best stuff that we've seen here on the show floor.
Yeah,
and
that
hopefully
one's gonna be awesome.
Products that will continue to be the best throughout the year. But again, this is the flagship awards ceremony here at CES. So make sure to come and check that out.
And like I said, right after this, we'll be looking at a bunch of new laptops. Dan Ackerman usually shows up with an armload of them, and we look them all over. So there's a little gadget porn happening in about 15 minutes here right on this stage. 50 Cent, like I said, will be back at 2 o'clock, and 5 o'clock is our Women in Tech panel, and that's just today because we are not messing around with the CNET stage. We'll see you. Just stay there.
All right, see you guys.
All right, bye, guys. Excellent. Good stage direction, you guys.